Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are here yet again on a Friday lunchtime broadcast. And what we do on Friday lunchtime is that we talk about taking one more step in the right direction of whatever it is we're trying to get achieved. So I'm just dropping a quick link to the viewers. Let me just do that. There we go. Hi, Jody, and hi to Jamie. Sorry I was a bit late. It's not like me, as you know, but for some reason, when I went to go and put everything together, I had a glitch, a story of my life sometimes. And maybe story of all our lives sometimes, right? That you think everything's on track, but then you hit a glitch. And it frustrates me. Hi, Pat. It frustrates me because that means that I haven't left enough time to have the glitch. And that's, bad management on my part. And I'm prepared to admit that. So just hold on. I want to make sure I've got a pen. However, if you hear me clicking it, let me know because it hasn't got the tape at the end for Pat. And for those of you who don't know what on earth I'm talking about, I have a habit of clicking my pen while I broadcast, and it drives Pat insane. And so just if you hear it, let me know, because I probably don't even know I'm doing it. So it's been an interesting week. How's your week been? For those of you who are new to the broadcast, let me just explain how we do this. We spend the first little bit just catching up on people's news and anything that may be on their mind before we get into the main subject. And then what you will see on the replay is it'll say from 00 to this time, news and updates, and then from this time onwards, the topic. So that's if I remember to put that in, which I normally do. But, again, life gets in the way sometimes. And then luckily, somebody reminds me that I haven't done it. Also, if you're ghosting, and some of you like to watch and not actually participate in the chat, totally okay with us. And we welcome anybody that ghosts. If ever there's a subject you'd like me to talk about, please drop me a line at dearmamasal@gmail.com. And I will do my best to talk about it in an upcoming live broadcast. And I will let you know when that's going to be. In other words, what I'm inclined to do, if there's a specific topic that somebody wants me to talk about, I will find out which of the 3 broadcasts that we do. We do 2 on a Friday and 1 on a Sunday. Which one suits you best? And I'll try and fit it in there. So I'm just hearing from Linda that her rescue dog tried to get it to the vet. He just went nuts. Well, the thing is that obviously he's been hurt at a vet at some time, right? I mean, he's got a reason for going nuts at the vet. So the chances are the vet may even give you something to give Lucky next time. I assure you that Bean, as I said, Bean used to really have a problem. The funniest one I had was years ago. I had an old English sheepdog, with all the hair, and I had an old English sheepdog. And the first time I tried to get it to the vet, it put all 4 paws on the door jambs as we went to go into the vet. He must have smelt fear and screamed and peed, literally just amazing. And, I just stood there holding him, and holding the sheepdog, even as a puppy, is not light. And what I did was I just waited for it to calm down a bit. And then I apologized to everybody waiting in the waiting room and said, I'm really so sorry to stress your dogs out like this, because I'm sure my dog has not helped yours. So I'd like you to know how sorry I am. And I do need you to know that he has not broken a leg, or she rather. She has not broken a leg. And she is actually here just for a regular checkup. But for some reason, she does not like the smell of this place. And so I do need to tell you, Linda, that with experience, your dog will learn to trust the vet. And that's the only thing I can say. You've really got to, do whatever they can do to calm Lucky down beforehand. And I'm sure that they will do that. And they probably will have you almost bring him and have nothing done to him for a couple of times. That also, I used to actually, that's another thing that I would recommend, which is, just go and visit the place with the vet's agreement, of course, because you may need to calm him down just to do that. But just literally to go visit place, chit chat to the reception, let them give him a cookie, and then go out again. Oh, Jamie, I am so sorry to hear of your loss. I would really, from all of us, here, to lose a family member is, and especially to cancer, to lose a family member, period, is terrible. How close? And I say how close because sometimes it can be a far off family member, but funny enough, the impact is greater than maybe somebody that is really close, an aunt. Okay. The strange thing is, Jamie, and I know this sounds really strange, that you can probably imagine that I'm dealing with a lot of that now, because I'm of an age where it's, there's a lot of stuff going on. So I know how tragic it is, but it is what happens. And I think the weird thing is that in a way it never gets easy. Don't get me wrong on that, but it gets easier. You know what I mean? Just because you've been through it once or twice or three times, and some of you I know have been through it at a very young age, and it's just like the pain of it will always be there. And for those of you who have got family members that are animals, and I say family members that are animals because I think some viewers and myself, sometimes I think I was closer to my animals than I was to my family. From the hurt that I got when they passed. So just take it easy on yourself and remember the cycle of loss, right? It's going to take, I always say to people, give it a full year, because you need to have the anniversaries, the birthdays, the Christmases, the Thanksgivings, all those celebration times come and go at least once before you can really start feeling. You will always miss your aunt, but it just that first cycle I find really the most difficult. And I'm certain that we've got people with lots of experience of that. I also would recommend that I don't know whether she passed today or yesterday, but I really recommend that you don't be sad on that celebration day, but you celebrate. And I say celebration day because I try to make sure, if I can, to make that day a celebration day rather than a sad day. It's the day I remember all the good things about that relationship. And I laugh, I smile a lot. Yeah. And so I still keep the date in mind, but I keep it as a date to remember all the good stuff. Not the sadness. I remember, the fun presents I got, or the time when, we talked as adults and we laughed until we cried over some of the things I got up to as a child. You know what I mean? I always remember that with my aunt, because my aunt was the one person I could go and talk to that made sense. Do any of you relate to that? She was a teacher, and she was so pragmatic, and she just called things for what they were. And whenever I was, being driven insane by my mother, I know I was driving myself insane, but you know, I would go down and see my aunt. And she would just say, "Okay, what happened now?" And I would tell her, and she'd roll her eyes and say, "It's very difficult because that's my sister, and I don't want to judge her in any way." I go, "I know." And then she'd say, "However, let me tell you, I totally understand why you're going insane." And I'd say, "Thank you so much." Uh, mm. And it's interesting because what is your fondest memory of your aunt, Jamie? And it's interesting to me that one of the things that my aunt didn't do well is she could not apologize very well, and I think it ran in the family. But she would do so many things to tell me that she was sorry, but she just couldn't get the words out. Do any of you relate to that? Do any of you have family members like that? It was just like the words "I'm sorry" just just were not in her vocabulary. But she would do the funniest things to let me know that she apologized for something. I always remember once she was really angry with me about something. Oh no, she did something. She made a judgment about me, and I reacted quite heavily to it. And I told her that I wasn't going to come and visit her again until she got her her judgments under control. And I just remember that she called me up because her dishwasher wasn't working, and I was known as the person you called before you called the repair person. Do you know what I mean? Because 9 times out of 10, I could fix it. So she said, I just wondered if you could come and have a look at my dishwasher for me. And I went, and you could tell that there's nothing wrong with her dishwasher. I turned it on, it worked, and I went, okay, it appears to be working now. But I understood what she had done. She knew that I would not say no to her if she had a problem. And so she had the problem, so I would go and visit. How many of you going? That makes sense. And goodness only knows, I was smart enough to just say, okay, that's fine. Yeah, Jodi's saying in her world it was, here, have a casserole. That was it. It's over. I'm sorry I did what I did. But, never use the words. So have good memories. And even though that is, if you like, almost a negative, it always makes me chuckle now when I think about it. And I go, I'm glad I had learned enough to be able to recognize what she was doing, and not stay angry with her. Hmm. Good. Pat, how was your vacation? Are you still there? You must still be there, Pat. And for those of you who don't know Pat, she's sitting in Newfoundland in Canada, Eastern Canada, on vacation visiting her family. And it was like a 10-hour trip for them. You're still there. Okay, good. And are the children still entertained? They're not getting bored? Hi, Amy. Good to see you, honey. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I think there's something about going on a vacation in a trailer that changes everybody's mentality. And hi, Em. And it's like you end up with a totally different mentality by the time you get home. So I don't know about the rest of you if you've ever been camping, but one of the things I always remember was, when I brought the trailer back was, gosh, my house is so big. You're so used to having no space that suddenly when you walk into your home, you think, wow, that is big. And how many children are with you, Pat? I can remember going camping with 6 children in about a 24-foot trailer once. Yeah. You get 4, yeah, okay. But you have running water. I did it where I took 6 children, with me, because I took the children our children, and then I took their friends. Um, yeah, I took them where civilization was about 4 hours away. Yeah, you've got you've got electricity and running water, yeah, believe me. Yeah, Linda's saying no to camping, yes to glamping. Yeah, and I must admit that I've subsequently found that glamping is the way to go. I would like to be hooked up, totally hooked up, and I would like all the, comforts of home wherever possible. So I totally relate to that. However, may I just ask you this, just before we start, which is, you've all been children in your time. And what was your favorite memory of a vacation as a child? And I say that because I think we can all look back. Now, funny enough, my parents didn't take us away on family vacations. They used to take themselves away on family vacations, if you know what I mean. But for us, it was packing up the Model T Ford, I think it was. We had a Model T Ford still. And we had a beach at the bottom of, we were on 3,000 acres. And we had a beach at the bottom of the 3,000 acres. And it was taking all the picnic and everything else down. And we all used to stand on the running boards of the car. And, we had many gates we had to go through to get to the beach. And, we'd all jump off and open the gate. And, I really always remember that. Okay, so Jody's saying camping at Lake Erie State Park with her family. Yes. I'm amazed how many people, when I talk to them, talk about camping. All right, let me see what Linda said here. How's the houseboat thing, Sal? You know something? I saw the two, and it was a rude awakening to me, Linda, that as much as I would have loved to have done that 20 years ago, I don't think I can do it now. And the reason for that is my mobility, whilst it's really good, has, I keep thinking about, okay, see you later, Pat. I keep thinking about trying to do things practically, coming with the groceries. And yes, they've got like a wheelbarrow thing that you put the groceries in and take it to your houseboat. But then how do you hold on as you're going down a very steep ramp, So there were a lot of things that I had to look at the risk management side of it rather than get involved in the emotional view of it. The views were great, but the risk management of it was really scary to me. And I'm going, this is before we have lots of rain and snow. And so what must it be like when it's torrential rain, which we get? And I thought, it's unsafe for me, I think, at this age. So I'm still on plan A, which is the fifth wheel. All right. So it is now, I'm going to do a time check, Jody, for 1930. Yeah, you know something, Linda, but I needed to go see them because I always wanted to do that. All right, so today we're talking about taking another step forward. And how many of you have got something that you need to do in your life? Because if there's something you need to do, let's keep that in our minds while we talk about things today. I'm actually quite surprised. Those of you who remember last Friday, Doug came to help me. I want to tell you that really had quite an impact, because we organized a lot in the garage in a very short space of time. And what it made me realize is that my garage is already half done. And I'm quite surprised how organized my garage is when I really look at it. And although there's still things I obviously need to go through and throw away, but I was really quite surprised. And that has actually motivated me a bit more. Hi there, Sakura. Good to see you. So, I know Sakura's downsizing as well. How's that going, Sakura? When you get a chance, give us some input. And I wonder if anybody else is downsizing. I packed up office stuff this week. I think I got 2 boxes of office stuff. And that's not the stuff I use every day. And then what else did I pack up? I'm still trying to do. The difficulty is my crafts and arts. For some, you can probably imagine being an arty type person. I don't want to pack that away yet, but I need to start realizing that I can halve it. And that's what I need to do. But what I did do for the second time, I think, is I emptied everything out of my pantry. And I really recommend that, just literally, even if it's one shelf, take everything off a shelf and then just, organize it. And in my case, find out whether you brought it with you 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And just organize it and just put half of it back and use whatever system you need to. All right, so Sakura's saying we've got a lot of downsizing. Okay, and we still have lots to organize in our living room. You got a lot downsized already. Yes, good. Our master bedroom is empty except for the bed, a lamp, and my husband's clothes and our toiletries. Yes, it's interesting because that's what you realize is basically my living room, dining room is empty of anything except a couple of boxes and a few bits of art and the furniture. But the cubies that I had in the the shelving units are gone, the cubies are gone. So this room is basically pretty darn empty. I'm sorry to hear that you slipped and hurt your knee. Yeah, it's funny how removing carpets makes you actually slipped on the carpet or because the carpet wasn't there. Whatever makes a change will do that. Okay, so let's get on with our lives and think about what it is we want to do next. Has anybody got anything that they want to start working on? Hi, Christy. Good to see you. Christy, I'm glad to see this morning that that one fire is 95% contained. That is amazing. But I didn't see that was the Reading fire. So how is the Reading fire doing? I forgot to check that. Okay, so here's our first quote of the day while we're waiting for Christy to let us know about those California fires, which is that a positive attitude is not a destination. It's a way of life. How many of you have learned that? Wow, that's amazing. Christy's telling us that it's 93% contained and with 229,500 acres burned. Wow. If you've got a slick carpet, have you got any of that rubber matting that you put in the bottom of shelves or bottom of drawers? I don't know what the right name is for that stuff. But that's really good stuff just to cut a couple of pieces of that and put it underneath. The carpet won't slip anymore, even if you just put a couple of bits in the corners. By the way, have any of you got a carpet where the ends creep up? Yeah, it works really well, Sakura, from my experience. And if any of you've got a carpet where the ends are lifting up slightly, the corners, take a coin and glue a coin to it. And then put a little bit of the non-slip. Yep. So you understand, Christy, take a coin. I'm trying to think which is the heaviest coin in America. Probably your dime. No, not your dime, your quarter, right? Um, stick a quarter to it and then stick some of that rubber stuff to the quarter. And it's amazing how well that works. And if necessary, put a few of them on the corners. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The heaviest one I can think of. Now, in Canada, we have a toonie. That's a serious coin. That's a $2 coin. And that's a serious coin. Yeah, it actually works very well. And that's what the royalty and stars and things do when they don't want their dresses to flip up, right? They actually sew coins into the hem. Or weights into the hem. So you probably know that already. I love this quote, and it says, "A misty morning does not signify a cloudy day." So, it's a case of we have the right to change our perspective of a day, 24 hours a day, and 60 times in an hour, right? So just because you woke up in a funk doesn't mean you have to stay in one. Do you agree? It's like it's up to us to change that. And for so much of my life, I was waiting for somebody else to change it for me. I mean, how stupid was I? It was just like I really thought it was other people's job to make me happy. I'll be happy when I find this other person that will complete me, or I will be happy when da 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 da. And it took me a long time to find out the only person that was going to make me happy was sitting in my chair. And yeah, it's called a reset. Yes, and it's a really. How do you do yours, Sakura? For those of you who've learned how to reset, I find it's a really good idea to do something Zen-like. For example, yesterday was feeling a little stressed, and I thought, I think, let me explain why I was a bit stressed. I was a bit stressed because I was on the phone with Samsung about my new tablet. And, the sound level of it is very low. And I understand that I'm slightly deaf now. That I understand. And I could wear headphones, but I don't want to be wearing headphones. So I phoned Samsung to see if, there was some user error thing here that I didn't know about. And they got into the tablet for me and they tweaked it a bit. But even so, it wasn't as much as I liked. And then I decided that was really frustrating because it's a new tablet and I would have liked more sound on it. And then I went, yes, but you've got to admit that you're also harder of hearing. So that sound probably is okay for everybody else, but it's just very low for you. And so then I decided to do some Tai Chi. And I literally just put some Tai Chi on and did maybe 15 minutes of Tai Chi. And, there's something about doing all the movements where, it sort of slows you down a bit. And I found a couple of things of interest, but I did a little bit of yoga and a little bit of Tai Chi. And at the end of it, I walked over to my computer. I hadn't even been thinking about the tablet, except I was watching it, doing the movements. But I walked over to my computer and I turned on Amazon and I typed in wireless loudspeaker for Samsung Tab A or whatever. And I just thought, that's what I need. I just need a loudspeaker system. And they make small ones, portable ones, really small ones. And I'm going, that's all I need. A wireless one where it will automatically connect it. And I went, yeah, for $20, I can fix this problem. you know. But the funny thing was, all the time I was doing the Tai Chi, I wasn't thinking about it. Yep. Yeah, and so, it's important to just do something to calm you down because your mind starts going again. Um, hmm. All right, here's the next one. See how we do on this one. The positive thinker sees the invisible, feels the intangible, and achieves the impossible. And whilst I totally agree with that, yeah, Christy's saying that she has a speaker, it helps, and she cleans to de-stress. And that's a good thing. I know quite a few people who use that negative energy as energy to clean and then get achievement. You see, that's the thing. You get achievement from cleaning. When you finished, it looks better. Therefore, it's a positive achievement, which means I think it's the serotonin that goes through your body, and therefore, you've changed your mood. To relax changes your mood. To achieve changes your mood. To laugh changes your mood. So it's a good idea on all of those. So let me just repeat that one, which is the positive thinker sees the invisible, feels the intangible, and achieves the impossible. It's really funny because I keep thinking that, tomorrow is the 6th anniversary of the day I started DearMamaSal. And I keep thinking in a strange way, I achieved the impossible for me. I didn't really think that I would be doing this 6 years later. I didn't think that we would help as many people as we have. I certainly didn't think I would hit over 1 million views. In fact, we're nearly up to 1,100,000, I think now. But the interesting thing was how many times I could have stopped that along the way, because I wasn't succeeding at the rate that other people might have been or whatever. Yeah, thanks, Jody. But I do want to tell you something that I could have talked myself out of this many, many times, all right? And I didn't. And I realized in not giving up and doing it that really, yeah, Christy, this is the funny thing. That I can remember saying time and time again, the reason I do this is to help people. I didn't do this for numbers. I didn't do it for money. I did this because I genuinely believed that we could create a little group of people that could help each other grow. And it's not that I thought I was the be all and end all of this, but I did know that I have a way of communicating that reaches people. So therefore, I could discuss things and hopefully be able to help people. And as I've said many, many times, I don't go looking for the people to come and help, because I found that life has a way, or God has a way, depending on what you believe in, of bringing those people that need help. Yes, I think, to me, it's like we've held, I gave up really doing vlogs and all sorts of things for over 6 months and just did the broadcasts. And, the incredible thing was that we still held the same number of subscribers. We didn't lose. We lost a few, we gained a few, we lost a few, but it's basically the same. And so I looked at it and went, this must be helping somewhere. I haven't checked to see, how many views we get in a month now. But, what I found, is that I just know that, I will get emails from people who I've never met saying, thank you so much for what you do. So, and, Christy's saying that it makes it all the more successful to not have given up. Well, I just wanted people to know we would always be here. It's like, because I don't think that people know when they're going to hit the brown sticky stuff, and be in trouble. And so to me, it was a case of I'd like to be here when they need help. And M saying the same thing, when I have no one to talk to, I can always listen to DearMamaSal. And I appreciate that. Yes, I agree with you, Christy. Life can get very lonely and very sad at times, and especially when you are a parent and you have to pretend that you're doing great, and you actually need some time for you. And so to me, I've always been very flattered that people find it helpful. I never get, the funny thing is I never get bent out of shape when people say, when I want to go to sleep, I'll put on one of your videos because your voice always sends me to sleep. Now, the reason I don't get upset about that, some people would go, oh, that's nice. The reason I don't get upset about that is because I know how much your brain takes in while you're asleep. So, because I used to do it. Do any of you do that? Do any of you listen to meditation music or maybe positive thinking stuff as you go to sleep? And what happens is, I used to do a lot of studying in the days when I had to study stuff, where I would just I would put it on tape and run the tape overnight. And for some peculiar reason, it goes in. You repeat that. I'd have it on a loop, so it just kept repeating. So to me, it was never an insult that people said, you send me to sleep. I'd go, oh, good. Because I know that the whole thing would run. And, I think it's an amazing thing that people say that and that get help that way. I had somebody this week actually write to me and say that they'd asked for help and didn't get it. And that was really sad to me to hear that. And I actually started to get a little tweaked by it. And then I thought, no, something? I don't believe that to be true somehow. But what I understand is I've been there. Have any of you been there where you thought you wanted help, but you found every reason to not get it, if you know what I mean? Because if you're accountable, you would say, hey, you'd come back to the next broadcast and go, okay, where are you guys that said you were going to support me? You'd actually do something about it, be proactive and not be victim. And so that's part of what I realized there was, this is not on me. This is not on us. This is about take responsibility. So if you really want to, as I keep saying, don't come and complain, come and get help. And, and by the way, everybody, let's make sure we make this a statement. If for some reason people say they're going to contact you and they didn't, then ask them again. They have lives too. They have illnesses too. They have life in their life too. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but the world does not revolve around any one of us. You know what I mean? It's like, really? So you're going to, and I was told, I'm not going to be coming back to the broadcast because da, da, da. And I went, that's sad. But, the world revolves around those people that invite the world to revolve around them. Do you know what I mean? So, I'm not laughing at the sadness of it. I'm laughing, actually, when I think about it, I'm laughing because I had to learn that. And that if I wanted people to be close to me when I had problems, I needed to tell them, but also I would phone them up and go, hey, You remember you said you were going to support me in this. Well, hello, and then they go, oh, I'm so sorry. Life got in the way. Be it my aunt died or, I was in the middle of downsizing or whatever. And it really was my intent. And I am so sorry. Yes, Christy, you have to learn to ask for help. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not one of weakness. So we're going to send you a hug. And, Christy, I think that we all, as we grow in these things, we all learn that being a victim doesn't fix it. Hi, Trina. Good to see you. That being a victim doesn't fix anything. Now, this week I heard about somebody, one of our viewers, who has a friend, or a pretend friend, but a friend who was on antidepressants and suddenly decided that, no, her mother was on antidepressants, that's it, and decided she didn't need them anymore, so she stopped taking them. And it was interesting because there was a lot of, my gosh, you shouldn't do that, da, da, da. And I said, I've done it. I was on antidepressants and I really did know that I was not in need of them anymore. So I literally, because I only see my doctor every 3 months, I literally just started to wean myself off. I think I instead of taking one a day, I started taking half of one, or took one every other day or whatever. And, by the time I saw my doctor, I was nearly completely weaned off. And, my doctor laughed at me and said, of course you did. Yeah. But, and I said, well, I just come to discuss it with you because I just want us to agree on the next, what's going to happen next. And I said, so if I come in here and tell you I'm feeling down, please don't immediately put me back on meds. I want to make sure that I've done what I can to correct it myself. I want to see if I've learned enough. Because that's what I found out, that I have hopefully learned enough to be able to reverse that. And, before it gets too deep. But I said, if I come in, for 2 different visits, that would be 6 months worth, and I'm still down, feel free to tell me that I need some help. And, it's amazing because I can remember going in the one time and literally saying, I actually been down for about a week now. And he said, okay, what are you doing about it? And I told him, and he said, good. Do me a favor, come back in a month if you're not feeling better. And, in other words, he knew I'd already been struggling with it. And so if I hadn't corrected it in another month, he needed to know. And, the funny thing was I was fine. Yeah, I just needed a bit. How many of you know there are times when you just need a pity party? Do any of you relate to that? You actually need a bit of a cry. You need to feel sorry for yourself, and you need to just get that out of your system before you... hang on one second. I want to get my tablet. There's a reason why I wanted the tablet. Yeah, and so, I think it's really important that if you really do feel like you need a cry, you probably do. And let me ask you something. Why is having a cry or a pity party not a bad idea every now and then? Just while I find the app that I need. Okay. Let me see if I can draw this for you. That's what now I'm very new with this app, so just bear with me here. Okay, so this incredible drawing here is about what I believe happens to us. I believe that we grow, and then we reach a level, and then we sort of sink back a bit. Do any of you relate to that? And this is your pity party time. Nobody loves me. I can't do anything right. Da 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 da. And you have a little bit of a thunk here, and then you realize that this isn't going to make your life any better. So you start doing the right things again and you grow again until you drop back again. And that's, I like to call that, it's like what was it Sakura was saying, a reset time. But you need to get into that funk before you can make the decision to reset and move on. Now, the question is, do you realize that this is caused by negative thinking? This is caused by a series of, by the way, did that help anybody to see that? Yeah, I think doctors, in a way, give them out too easily. But I also think that the doctor needs to know the person. For example, my doctor knows that if I come in and complain about something, he knows this didn't happen this week. He knows that if I'm complaining about it, it means I've been struggling with it and I haven't been able to take that step forward in life, whatever it's about, right? If I've got a headache, I've been suffering with it long enough that I need to tell him about it. So this whole process here is really important. And how long do you stay here? I was thinking about if you like Jamie, losing a family member, right? If life's going along beautifully and suddenly life gives you an oops. And that's how I'd like to word it. Life gives you an oops. And the question is, how long do you want to stay here? Now, we all know people that want to stay here. All right. How many of you know somebody that actually prefers being in victim? And I try hard not to judge people because I know that they cannot move out of that until they're ready. And for some people, that can take a lifetime. All right. And that's the sadness, that for some people, they might not do it in this lifetime. Now, some of you are very faith-based people, all right? And so you can actually take the step without the medication, can take the step and change the reset just by prayer. Yes, Christy, we all know people who are victims, all right? And they don't think they are victims. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if you believe that the world is a nasty place and doesn't like you, that is a victim. It's not that they think they are. They are. The only way you get to be a victor rather than a victim is by your actions. And so, I'm amazed how many people will say, "Well, I'm not in a relationship, and I want one really badly." What have you done about that? What have you done about that? Do you join clubs? Do you go out with the bird watchers? What do you do? Well, nothing really. Well, they don't line up in front of your door, honey. You know what I mean? You actually have to go and do something to meet people. M. You see, all right, M's saying her life goes in waves, like this drawing. How many of you relate to that? That you have some days that are good, and then you have a downtime, and then you reset, and then you have good days, and then you see, I think when you realize that is life. Yeah. And by the way, Christy, you're talking about, that as your daughter grows up, it's getting more frustrating. It was easier before she had a voice, right? And now she can not agree with you or choose not to listen to you. And that's very frustrating because you lose control. And it's so, I'm a great believer now, Christy, that everything that life sends us is a mirror to look at. You see, so what happens when she doesn't listen? You lose control, right? So she can press your buttons now anytime she wants to. She just has to not listen to what you say. And she knows that she can do it. And I can remember, for those of you who know Benji and Judy, I can remember Benji calling me one day about one of his daughters that was having an absolute freak time. And he actually was phoning me because he'd put her on a timeout, but she was freaking so badly. She was freaking so badly that he put her into her bedroom, but he didn't want to leave her alone because she was freaking so badly. So he just sat on the floor. All right. And he goes, I'm here for you, honey. Once you want to tell me what's wrong. You know, you need to, because she had the ability to put words around things. So as soon as you're ready, then you can talk to me about it. But in the meantime, I'm going to talk to Mama Sal. And he phoned me. And why did he call me? I know nothing about children. Well, actually, that's not true. But you know what I mean? I'm not but the reason was because he knew I could keep him calm. And I thought that was really clever. So my job was just to talk to him about, what his, dreams were and whatever. And, and that kept him calm so that he could then in turn keep calm on the other side. I thought that was really cute. It's a great memory of mine. So I think when you realize that life does this, and there's a good reason for it, right? We need time to sort out. It's a bit like downsizing. Right? You need time to pull everything out and look at it and decide, what do I want to keep? So Christy's saying, she got so freaked out that she just called her husband to come home and sort it out. Be careful of that one, though. When I say be careful of that one, Christy, but you understand that I'm sure that you don't do that very often, but I am sure that you also understand that if he's always the savior of the situation, that you will actually do your self-esteem some harm in that, because you actually are this, more than capable of that. But I understand that you had lost it to that degree. And I'm certain there isn't a mother here that doesn't relate to that. I think about it even, in other things. How many of you have lost it with a friend, where you go, okay, that's enough, really? And that was the interesting thing, where when we were talking about this mother who had taken herself off medication, everybody jumped to the conclusion that she was wrong to do that. And I said, no, wait a minute. What if she was right to do that? What if she actually was ready, as I was? And by the way, I have never been on antidepressants since, because I'd learned the lesson. I'd learned how to fix myself, if you know what I mean. Which means that I stopped waiting for the world to do it my way. I just realized if anybody's going to change, it needs to be me, because I'm doing this wrong at some way. And so, I look at it and I go, we all, jump to the negative on this one, where maybe the mother was totally right. And I think that's when I realized I have grown quite a bit, because although I totally agree that to go off medication cold turkey is not a good idea, I went, do we know that she did that? And you know what I mean? It's like, I ask more questions now. Yeah. Christy, I think it's really great support for you that he did that. Yeah, Amy, funny enough, I am the first person to say, if you need medication, take it. And I do say that because I realized that for a lot of my life early on, I needed it to cope, because I didn't have the coping skills. you know, as I said, there's so many times when I really didn't understand what was happening. And now that I've learned so much more, I realize this is up to me. The other thing I've noticed, uh, I don't rush things as much anymore. Have any of you noticed that as you're growing, that you don't rush things as much? And it's funny because I'm just looking at the next quote here, which says, "Part of a happy day is refusing to be affected by negative thoughts." I'm amazed how everybody thinks, okay, fine, you need to do this downsizing in a hurry and move on. And I'm going, no, I don't actually. I need to do this downsizing in my time. This is my whole life that I'm downsizing. And some of you heard me talk about this last week, where I had quite a serious talk to my realtors, who obviously are keen for me to get the house on the market. But what I said to them, and they were saying, well, do you honestly think you're going to be happy in the fifth wheel? I said, not necessarily, no. They went, what? Why would you move somewhere if you don't think you're going to be happy? I said, I really don't know. I don't know what it feels like to move from 2,500 square feet into 500. I'm going to find out. And will I be able to survive, a winter in that space? Summer's not a problem, but the winter, will I be able to survive the winter without going stir crazy? I don't know. I'm going to find out. But, the difference is, I don't know if any of you relate to this. The difference is, I don't think that it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a major learning lesson for me. And so I'm doing a lot of things where I'm basically trying to get myself down to using 2 rooms. I don't know if this makes sense to anybody, but I have a large bedroom. It is like 16 and a half feet by 14 and a half or something. It's big. And my kitchen. And I'm trying to empty every other room except those 2. And then whatever I want to live on needs to be in one of those 2 rooms. By the way, my kitchen, I am halving every shelf for the second time, because the kitchen I'm going to is going to be tiny, tiny. So, I'm going, this takes time, because you've got to get used to not having it. Here's a question for you. I don't know if Sakura has done this as well. How many baking trays do you have, do you think? That's interesting. Trina's saying, I stopped myself taking a few telephone calls this week. I wasn't available to the person who was ringing at the time. And thanks to your advice, I did ring back in my own time, but normally I would have taken the call. Yeah. You get, and that's really important to know. You get to choose. Do I want to answer this call? How many times have you heard the phone ring while I've been on a broadcast? I don't take that call. And I've had people say to me, I phoned you earlier. Why didn't you answer? And I go, I was broadcasting. Oh. It's like, hello. What if I was out shopping, right? Trina, it's a pleasure. All right. So Sakura's saying she has 4 or 5 baking tins. All right. M saying she's got 9 rooms, but only using 3. And that's when you realize you could downsize quite happily. So that's downsizing by 2/3. So the 2/3, you use them very occasionally. Now, of course, as you all know, that I haven't moved yet. And now I've got, for those of you who remember Big Brother Jeff, hang on a second. Amy's saying they control those telephone calls by saying that they live in a place where the reception sucks. So they'll get back. So please just leave a message, right? Yes, Sakura also is going to downsize into an RV. And what they're doing is they're also doing the same thing that I am, which is they're downsizing so that they only have stuff in their bedroom. Okay, and I presume your kitchen as well, Sakura. You didn't say that. Yeah, a kitchen and bathroom. Okay, yeah, I forgot the bathroom, yeah. Yes, and I'm downsizing to only use stuff in one bathroom. All right, I've got two. And so that's what I'm doing as well. Yeah. And I think that's quite honestly ecologically better for us as well. You know, our carbon footprint will be really minimized. Anyway, I was just going to say that for those of you who remember my brother coming to visit a few years ago, he's coming back next year. And he was busy saying, you know, and we're going to come, and he's going to bring the lady in his life. We're going to come and visit, and then, you know, maybe we can do another trip together, and da 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 da. And here's the funny thing: I actually wrote back to him and said, "I've never done this before." I said, "I have absolutely no idea where I'm going to be this time next year." So here's what I would recommend: because you're trying to plan a year in advance, it would be safe to only plan an overnight visit in my area. Hi, Kerry. Now, is that true? Because I'm going, what if I'm in the fifth wheel by then? You know, I don't think that he's going to want to live in my fifth wheel for more than a night. Right? Maybe he can do a night, but I can't imagine that he would do anything but go stir crazy for more than a night. Makes sense. So I said, and in regard to the trailer, I don't know how to explain this to you, but it's going to be my storage unit. I'm going to keep a lot of my stuff in it. In fact, I'm considering getting two. I didn't say that, but that's what I'm doing. So basically, I had to be a little negative in my reply, but not, it sounds like a great trip. But be careful how you plan your time with me. Because I know that he's going to be, he's going to have his lady with him. So therefore, they will want to do things together. And that's fine. And I know that my sister will just do everything that they need. So that's okay with me. Now, it could be that by this time next year, I've sold the house and I've got money coming out of my gazoos and I can afford to do a lot better, in which case I will change the plan. Or not. We'll see. But right now, I cannot plan for next year because I don't know where I'm going to be. So, Kerry, how are you feeling? I've got the next quote. Is experience often shows that success is due less to ability than to attitude. How many of you know people who have been successful not because they had great qualifications or because they had great anything? They just worked really hard at it. Sorry for the headache, Kerry. What have you taken? Yeah. How many of you take Advil rather than Tylenol? I actually have both in my house. And if I get a migraine or something, yes, sorry, that's a good one. Trina's saying Richard Branson. is a great example of somebody who didn't have the qualifications to be highly successful, but he just had the ability to do it. And I think there are a lot of people like that. One of the interesting things that I find with things like YouTube or anything like that, everybody thinks that people got there highly successful, overnight, which is not true, of course. If you talk to most people who made a killing on YouTube, they just hung in there long enough and did the right things. And so, you look at it and go, people are looking for overnight successes all the time. And so, I look at it where people say to me, oh gosh, I'd love to, be able to do this. And I go, have you tried? Right? Have you tried? Well, no. Well, then you don't really want to do it. By the way, some of you know it's taken me an awful lot of wasted paint to be able to do something like this. So, things don't happen. Some of you remember I started painting on squares of paper this big, so I wouldn't waste too much paint. And now I can do bigger ones because I know that even though it might not be perfect, what have I got here? I've just, right? To be able to do this. All right. And so to me, it's like, was this an overnight thing? No. And this is like, how did I get this? The detail in here and in here, so it's like people really honestly believe that, you just throw it and it's done. And yet up here behind me, I've got 2 paintings that I did very early on and I still love them. I can't repeat them. I tried. I can't repeat them. It just happened to be a good day. I still love this one. All right. And I still love these 2. So you look at it and go, success doesn't come by chance. It comes because you are passionate about what you do. And I look at anybody who's got a talent, right? And if you don't practice the talent, you're not going to get better. I don't care how much talent you've got. There are very few people that are naturally talented. I've had so many people. Thank you, Amy. I've had so many people say to me, "Oh, I'd love to be able to do that." For example, this one here. Hang on a second. You see this one up here. I don't know if I can. I don't think I can, but I love the detail in there. But I cannot for the life of me remember what I threw in there. Did I throw WD-40 in there? Did I throw hair serum in there? Was it olive oil? You know what I mean? It was just one of those days where I threw it all in and it all went beautifully. And I've tried keeping notes. I know some of you are saying, why didn't you write down what you're putting in? I do. And all the time I'm writing it down, it doesn't happen. And then I forget to write it down and I just huck things in and that happens. And I go, and that's called art. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you just have to know that it's when you don't know what you're doing that you do some of the best work. Does that make sense? And so I look at it that if you want to be successful in life, you have to live life. And life is not just the good stuff. Life has the wave, right? Life does this. And if you don't expect life to do this, then you're not dealing with reality. Does that make sense? So I look at it and go, today, next week I'm going to be 71. Boy, I wish I had known at 20 what I know today. Right? I wish I had known at 20 what I know today, but I didn't. And I think a lot of people my age say the same thing. The real life happens in the messy bits, yes. And I think you find out who your friends are in the messy bits. I think you learn who you are in the messy bits. And I also realize that it's okay. It's okay for Christy to have a bit of a meltdown because her child won't listen to her. Welcome to the world of being a parent. And it's okay for her to actually, rather than totally lose control, to phone her husband and say, let me vent. I need to vent, right? Now, that's interesting, Kerry. Kerry's saying that I found true friendship and love in the messy bits. Yes, you found somebody who loves you, not when you're all made up and looking beautiful, but loves you when you are sniveling and throwing up or whatever. It's anybody who can find somebody that actually loves the messy bits, then that is truly a gift. Now, does that mean that that person's going to love those things forever? I don't know. And that is the other thing. You really don't know, do you? I mean, there have been many times when I thought, okay, this is the person who's going to love me regardless. And I found out that's not true. How many of you found that out with friends? And I think as well, you can try to be a friend and not succeed in it. And that's part of life. Yeah, it's okay. And that's why I say it's really important for us to realize the person who's going to fix us, the person who's going to make us happy, sits in our chair. In all your paintings, I see a picture of something like the one on your right side, this one. You see a person smiling. Yeah, you see me smiling as I do it, right? I want to tell you though, but I can remember throwing this one and it really didn't look nice when I did it. And it's so strange because I still like it better that way. It's so strange because I know that sometimes when it dries, it looks completely different. And so I've learned now not to judge the painting until it's dry. Yes, and Jody's saying, I found that out with friends that flew the coop when I got chronically ill. Yep. I think we've all, I've noticed that, as you get older, you realize that an awful lot of friends just aren't there anymore because now you're not the life and soul of their party anymore, right? I found when I was highly successful, I had friends coming out of my gazoos. And, it is very interesting. Yeah, and Kerry has said that she's learned to love herself because of the messy bits. Yeah. You need to know that you can cope. If you know you can cope, then that is the most important thing, because then you let go of the need for other people to do things for you. However, if at the end of that you still have friends, yay, that's really good. And it says here, and this is a quote by a guy called John Wooden. He said that things turn out the best for people who make the best of the way things turn out. Wow. Things turn out the best for people who make the best of the way things turn out. It's not Disneyland. It's not like, this is not how I wanted it to be. It is what it is. Every day, if you can say, okay, I had planned for a sunny day today, but it isn't. Now, what am I going to do because it's raining? Kerry, if you can finally love yourself, that is a huge thing to do. And to do it at 31 is incredible. I think you have every reason to be very happy about that. And so the world is full of very miserable people in a large sense. So to me, this is like, how many of you have found that setting boundaries lost you a few friends? Because we talk a lot about setting those boundaries. Yeah, Amy, I want to tell you something we're still learning, all of us, right? We're all learning to take the next step, right? And even Kerry, who's taken the next step, all right? You understand that she will still continue to have ups moments and grow a bit more, and have ups moments and grow a bit more. All right? It isn't that she's, well, I doubt it anyway. I doubt it that she's found that perfect place. Yes, Sakura. So if it's raining, play inside or go play in the puddles, or, it's like, be flexible enough to change your plans with what reality is, not what you had hoped it would be. And I think be flexible is probably a big secret to it all. Yeah. To find people who love you regardless is that's unconditional love to the most part. But you know something? You can have unconditional love and still have, the ups days, right? Do you agree with me? If I think about my relationships, you've got a good relationship with somebody where you don't have to be perfect all the time and they will still love you. All right. So to me, to have these ups days is really important. And I've always said to people, so many times people have said to me, boy, you're oversensitive or something. And I just laugh and go, that was really interesting. In the days when you needed me to move 5,000 people in an audience, you really loved the fact that I was sensitive. And now you don't like the fact that I'm sensitive, because you see, to move an audience of 5 or 7,000 people, you need to be able to reach into their soul, and touch it. And that takes a great deal of sensitivity, people. That's that you don't just chat away. You need to know how to pace it. You need to know how to. People always said to me when I spoke, that they said, "Sal, you talk in waves. 1 minute we're laughing so hard we don't know what to do, and the next minute you touch our very soul." And I go, well, isn't that what life is? Oh gosh, I don't know what I said that you thought that word. Can anybody help me here? Yes, and Kerry, yes, you are a sensitive person. That is okay, right? And you're only overly sensitive to people that have upset you. Have you noticed that? People don't say that every day. They only say it when you react to something they've said and it hurts. Then they call you oversensitive. I've learned to say to people, "Oh, that hurt." And they go, "What?" And I'm going, "Out of your gazoos." Ah, because yeah. Okay, how did I say that? Out of your gazoos. Can you give me the sentence? I sort of remember saying it, but I can't remember how I said it. To me, out of my gazoos would be out of my range. I didn't even know I used the word, but that's what I think I meant. And well, why ask me? I make words up now, apparently. But it's a nice spelling, gazoos. Yeah. Yes, if I have money out of my gazoos, yes, out of my present range. All right. Thank you, Jody, for your memory. And here's Sakura saying, if life is all peaches, then we can all be where we want, but we can't. So just one step at a time and at least get there. Yes. And so this is why I'm saying to you that 6 years ago, I was amazed that one person actually watched a video. Right? I mean, I don't mind telling you. That one person actually watched the video. The fact that hundreds of thousands of people watched was just amazing to me. I keep saying to people who started channels and they go, "Oh, I've just got 10 subscribers," and I go, 100 will feel just as good. And then they'll say, "I got 100 subscribers," and I'll go, 1,000 will feel just as good. Or I've just got 10,000 views. Yeah, well, 20,000 is going to feel just as good. And so you look at it and you go, life is like that, right? It's not about the end result, right? Because you're going, you struggle so hard for a 1,000 views, and you're going, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing and it'll take you to 2,000. And if you keep doing what you're doing and improve it a bit, you might even get to 3 or 4 or 5. And what amazed me, and I have to tell you this, what amazed me is I totally downsized what I was doing on DearMamaSal and still held. That amazed me. That I didn't just slide off the bottom of the scale, that it still held. That meant that doing half as much, I still held what I had worked so hard to achieve. And to me, that is really important that we understand that it's what you do every day that makes you happy or not. And you don't have to always make everybody else happy. So I look at what I'm doing at the moment, and I would ask Sakura, if you're still here, what one step do you want to take with your downsizing this week? And Kerry, because we didn't hear from you a lot today, which is, what one thing would you like to achieve this week? And Jody, well done on doing another drawing this week. I was talking to Jody, and I don't know if any of you are aware of this, but some research was done, and it said that our health is directly related to the pressure we put on a pen. Have any of you noticed that when you're not feeling very well, the pressure on your pen is on the pen on the paper is very light? Have you noticed that? It's like it almost slides all over the place. And yet when you're really feeling energized and everything else, it's much heavier. So what I was saying to Jody was, what if you reverse that? What if you intentionally start pressing harder when you're not feeling well? Because it is my belief that if you did that, it's going to set up the right things happening. Does that make sense to anybody? Because it takes different muscles. Now, you heard that I was doing a bit of yoga this week and a bit of Tai Chi. I know this is going to sound absolutely insane, but one of the moves in yoga was to be on your knees, all right? Curl your toes under, and then lean back, sit on your heels and do something. I can't do that anymore. I can do it with my toes flat underneath me, but I can't curl them and do that anymore. Now that means I've lost the use of certain muscles. And, I started to beat up on myself. And I went, no, don't beat up on yourself. For goodness sake, that's the whole reason you're doing this. You're doing it to find out what it is to you need to do more work on, and you've just found out. And the way that you will get those muscles working again is to keep doing the yoga and keep doing the Tai Chi until you can use all those muscles again. So don't beat up on yourself and say, oh, I can't do this anymore because I can't curl my toes over. And by the way, it was the most basic type of yoga. It wasn't like advanced yoga or anything. And I just couldn't put my toes underneath and then lean back and be in position. Well, that's a good thing to know. So, hi, Beth. So to me, I could have said, that's it, I don't want to do this anymore because I'm a loser. Or I could say, now I know what I need to work on. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Yes, exactly, Sakura. And keep doing that basic exercise until I can do it, and then I can move on. And I found with the Tai Chi, it was really interesting to me how I wasn't sure whether I was doing it the right way. And I go, it doesn't matter. What's important is that you are doing the stretching, because what Tai Chi is about is using all those muscles. And that is what I want to do, is use the muscles. Am I doing it perfectly? I don't really care. And again, it doesn't matter that I go to the next step. Keep doing this first one until you've got that one and you feel that everything's moving properly. And so it's like this. You don't get there without the time. All right, so let's see what people said. So, Kerry said she wanted to finish putting away her clothes and vacuuming her room. All right. And Sakura said, right now, the step I am doing is categorizing and putting them in a box for its category. Yes, that works really well. Hubby and I are a team working on this stuff, his stuff and my stuff. I will set a few containers going to the family. I want to tell you that works really well, and I'm going to talk about that. Work at your own pace. Very important. So I went down into my garage, as you know, and I have different boxes in my garage. All right, Sakura. And, one is a gardening box, one is an electrical box, one is what do you call it? Sanding and so forth. One is a paints for the house type box. And I just keep picking up stuff every time I go to the garage, and I'll just pick up a whole stack of stuff and just start throwing them in the right boxes. And this is about, once I've got all that sorted, I can decide what I want to keep in that box. For example, when I move, I will not have a whole lot of gardening, but I will need certain things. So I find that is a really good way to downsize. I have just downsized, again, certain cupboards. And what I did this time was I said, okay, I want one container for tall things. I've got one container with medium-sized things in it and another one with small things in it. Now what I'm going to do is to buy the boxes that those things will fit in. Obviously, the things that are tall will stay tall, but the stuff that are medium and small, I want to get containers so I can put them in and then learn how to organize that into a much smaller space. Because if you look at any cupboard in your house, the chances are from halfway up onwards, from the bottom half is full, but how about the top half? Is that full? Right? And so I'm learning now, how do I do that? How do I make jigsaw puzzles and turn a shelf into totally used as opposed to only half used? Very interesting process. So, Beth, that's really interesting, right? She's saying that she got off work. It was absolutely pure hell with 50% clearance sale. Store manager got sick of doing price adjustments for her, so she just showed her how to do it. So she wouldn't. Yeah, that's called the law of necessity. Right? This is called when she got frustrated enough with having to run backwards and forwards, she made a change. Good. Yes, exactly, Sakura. You know, when you do that, and by the way, once I've got the box of, okay, this is all gardening stuff, you know, you can then subdivide it. Okay, this is gardening stuff I think I want to keep. This is gardening stuff I'm going to throw away. And this is gardening. I don't worry about that at the first thing. I just worry about getting into the right box. And then I try sorting it after that. By the way, you automatically throw some stuff away anyway. Yeah. But you know something, Beth, if you hadn't kept calling her, she wouldn't have taught you how to do it, right? It's only because that became frustrating to her that she taught you. You know, it's amazing, right? Now, the manager in me says, you know, good management would have been if she taught you that at the get-go before you ended up having to be there on your own trying to deal with that, but that's just me. Now, here's another quote for you. Our aspirations are our possibilities. What you can dream about, you know, who said that? Norman Vincent Peale or somebody, you know, what you can dream, you can achieve. And so this is about, can I see myself living on 500 square feet? Yes. Now, the fact that I can see myself doing it means that I can. Could I see myself walking up and down those very steep ramps to the houseboats and walking across the decks? Yes, in the summer, no, in the winter. Now, it isn't that I couldn't have made a plan. It's about I didn't feel safe. That's what my mind came to. That, you know, would I be safe? What would it be like if I came home at, you know, 11:30 at night on a cold, windy winter night? You know, would I be safe? And would anybody hear me if I fell? You know, those sort of things. You go, no, I don't think so. So, you know, it's interesting that we need to be able to see our reality, and it doesn't always have to be good. All right. And so I want you to remember here that you can say, well, that was a negative thought, and therefore you came down. But I'm going, no, that was good risk management. You see, I think you do need to come down every now and then and rethink things. And just go, wait a minute, does this really work for me? Or am I trying to convince myself that it will work for me? You see, that is an interesting thing to look at. And how many of you know this quote? Very well-known quote. I have no idea who said it, and if it's to be, it's up to me. Take responsibility. If it's to be, it is up to me to do it, right? Yeah, a lot of people have said it different ways, Jody. So William Arthur Ward said, if you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can become it. Right? No, I think it was Norman Vincent Peale. Anything your mind can conceive and believe, it can do. Might have been Carnegie. It was Carnegie. Anything your mind can conceive and believe. Norman Vincent Peale comes to mind here. Anything your mind can conceive and believe, it can do. I think that's the correct quote. It is Carnegie, Norman Vincent Peale, or the other one that I can't remember that was bound to be the one that said it. But in the same genre. What's his name? You know? I'll go, yeah, right, that was it. So I look at one step at a time this week and ask yourself, you know, I'm pretty sure that Kerry wants to achieve more than just putting her stuff away and vacuuming her room, but that's a good place to start. I am trying to make sure that every time I sit down, I understand that this is for a rest period, but I'm resting ready to take the next leap, right? And to just keep going. Okay, you can rest, but now you need to get up and go do something. And you can rest, but then you need to get up and do something, because what I found about being retired is that you don't have reason necessarily to get up and do the next thing, because hey, you've got the rest of the day to do it in. You know what I mean? It's sort of like it really changes your mentality. So to me, it's like, what do you want to get done this week? And can you take one step towards it? So let's go through the list. Let's see what you come up with. Let me ask you a couple of questions. All right. Now, Beth saying, I'm struggling to get everything done I used to do. I just can't do everything in my daily chores and working. It was Norman Vincent Peale. Yes. My mind still has two marbles as well, Jody. All right. So the correct quote is, let me get this right. What the mind can conceive and believe and the heart desire, you can achieve. Okay. So I was pretty good. Yeah, change your thoughts and you can change your world. Norman Vincent Peale. He said some great stuff. All right. So here's what I want you to do. I'm just going to go through a list and let's see. You don't have to tell me, but if you want to, that's fine. What is it you want to achieve in your home this week? Oh, another one. Amy's also quoting Norman Vincent Peale. Believe in yourself. Have faith in your abilities. Without a humble but reasonable confidence in your own powers, you cannot be successful or happy. Yeah, Beth, I believe the reason you cannot achieve all that you used to is because you're doing so much more on the other side, right? You're busy doing a, a full-time job and a job that uses your weekends as well. Gee, you can't get everything done in the house anymore. Surprise. I mean, how can you possibly think that you could? All right. Yes. And so her husband made the bed and it wasn't perfect. Yeah. And she learned to say, made is good enough. Right. Excellent is good enough. I'm not looking for perfection anymore. All right. So so Jody's saying in her home she wants to organize the fridge and freezer. All right. So think about one thing you want to achieve in your home. What was mine this week? Mine this week was um, to wash the two rugs in my kitchen, which I'd managed to trick some oil from the barbecue. I was carrying the oil container from the barbecue, and I managed to drop it on my both carpets and the floor. I managed to clean the floor, but I had to clean the carpet. So I got that done. That was a major thing for me. Okay, so Sakura's saying the corner of our bedroom. Wow, they found black mold there. Wow, but she cleaned it, but they need to get it patched up by the maintenance. I want to tell you, if you've got black mold there, it needs to be cut out and the drywall replaced. Do you know that? If you've got black mold anywhere, that apartment needs to be tested. But you probably know that. Shame, Kim was in hospital. Why was Kim in hospital, Amy? And you missed the trip to New Orleans. Yeah. That was life getting in the way. His heart. Okay. So now he's got to go on a special diet and you're going to do it with him. You're going to find that makes a lot of difference in both your lives. That's very supportive of you. Yeah, Sakura, I just want to tell you that from what I know, black mold is very dangerous stuff to be playing with. But, you know, if you think you killed most of it, that's great. But I doubt you will have killed it all. So I'm glad to hear you're not going to be staying there. Okay, so Amy, no fat, no salt. I want to tell you something. Get an air fryer. All right, if you haven't got one, save up and get an air fryer. Have you seen any of my videos with my Big Boss halogen oven? Yeah, Amy, I agree with you. All right, the black mold cannot be totally cleared unless they replace the just about everything in there, and it can kill you. Yeah. Well, Amy, this what I found was it's not that it doesn't use any oil, but boy, I tell you something that you can literally take stuff that you would normally deep fry and just spritz it with just a quick spritz of some, you know, butter spray or whatever, and it will cook it so that it tastes like it's been deep fried. And you know, that is amazing. It really is amazing, the difference. And I want to tell you what I love most about my I've got the big halogen. Is you can take an absolutely frozen piece, a frozen chicken, for example, out of the freezer and stick it into this thing. And because of the way that it cooks, you can put it in frozen. And the next thing you know is you've got a perfectly cooked, succulent chicken, and you know it was frozen, you know, an hour and a half ago. Or I've done a complete, you know, roast of beef, you know, from frozen in like a just amazing taste. I want to tell you, if you can, yeah, you need to move. I know you're planning to, but if you've got mold in that room, I wouldn't go in that room more than you absolutely have to. And I'd probably try sealing it off if you can not use it. Which room is it? Do your research, Sakura. Don't take our word for it. Really research black mold. All right? And the fact that they're saying, what did you say? The leasing office said they will spray it and keep the mold from growing, right? That tells you everything. The mold doesn't go away. Your landlady, your leasing agent would have to do that because the property owner has to do that. But basically, they would need you out of there and totally redo that unit, and which they're not going to do. It's your master bedroom. I would not be sleeping in that room. Or, you know, at very least, I I would ask them, where is it down at the baseboards, or you know, what is it? What's causing it? All right, there must be damp somewhere that you've got mold growing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying as well, Beth. You know, it's not for the tenant to do, it's for the owners to do. It would be covered under the apartment insurance, but they may not want to pay the extra because once you've had that done, they will put the insurance up. So Do your research, Sakura, and then decide if you want to stay in that apartment. Maybe you get to move earlier than you wanted to. But black mold is not fun stuff. All right. So what I'm saying is that do some research. What causes black mold. All right, and as far as I know, it is constant damp. So something somewhere. Well, I would try not to. Is there any way you can sleep elsewhere, not in a room? No. So the question is, do you want to move somewhere short term, and then move into the RV, or do you just want to bite the bullet and go and get the RV? All right, that's what you need to decide. But you know something, Sakura, I'm pretty sure that an awful lot of people living in rented apartments are suffering from that as well. So maybe almost sleep with a mask on. You know the masks that you can get. Now he already sleeps. Doesn't he already sleep with a sleep apnea machine? Yeah, I'd move everything into the second bedroom. All right. But the thing is this, that if you have to sleep in that room, I will of that mold. Not pretty, but important. Yeah. So if he's wearing the mask, then that's fine. And by the way, does he have headaches when he wears the mask, or only when he's not wearing the mask? That's what I'd start asking. Because that would tell him that when he wears the mask, he doesn't get the headache. Or if he does, then he needs to talk to his respirologist about the fact that whenever he wears the mask, he gets a headache. If in any way they correlate, either when he's not wearing it or if he is wearing it. So the thing about life is, and we say this every Friday, which is, let's keep taking one step in the right direction. All right? If your husband is getting headaches constantly, he needs to get that checked out. I mean, anybody who has constant headaches would be right. So then there has to be something going on that he's getting constant headaches. Has he been to the doctor? Yeah. Well, keep after it, because it's not usual to have constant headaches. So, keep trying to find out what the answer is. All right, everybody. So whatever it is that you are trying to achieve, understand, as Sakura has, you think you're doing all the right things and suddenly your life throws a curveball like black mold at you, or you think you're doing the right things and suddenly this happens. Just believe that all these things are leading you in the right direction. If you've been to a neurologist and an ENT, then hopefully between them, they will come up with the right answers. When did you go to the neurologist? And I find it being incredibly dumb sometimes can help. Okay, well, we came and did those tests, and it wasn't anything. Everything came back okay. So what else could it be? And just keep asking, what else could it be? Because that's what I had to do to find out why I was getting more and more weak last year. If you remember last year, And for about a year before that, I was getting more and more weak, and I couldn't understand why. Okay, good. So you're on it. Well done, Sakura. Right? If you're getting him checked out, or he's getting himself checked out this at the moment, then they should be able to give you some answers pretty soon, or not. But what I'm saying is, if they say, well, we've done the test and nothing's coming up, just sit there and go, okay, so what's our next step? Because he's still got headaches. You know what I mean? I find being a broken record is amazing. And, and I kept being told, yeah, but it's this, yeah, but what if it isn't? What else do I need to get checked for? And because I've still got this problem and you're not listening to me, and this problem is getting worse and I'm getting scared. So do me a favor. What else could it be? Let's check for that as well. And I literally had to do that. And that got me the help I needed. So really important. Jody will tell you, be your own advocate. Doctors are wonderful, but they are very busy people, and they deal with what's emergency in front of them most of the time. So if you really want to get help, make sure that you keep asking for it. All right, everybody. So I'm going to get out of here. And I just wanted to make sure that you understand that taking one step in the right direction this week will take you one step closer to your goal. And I really want to make sure that we all understand that life comes in waves, right? And waves aren't altogether bad, right? So just remember, just because it's a wave doesn't mean it's bad. It means it's a wave. And sometimes we need these downtimes to really think about what's going on. All right? So look at your life and don't expect it always to be on the up. I think it's unrealistic. Expect it to have those moments and see those moments as important things. I found that when I'm on a down cycle, I try and think of all the things in my life. What do I want to change here? What do I want to change here? What do I want to change here? And sometimes, with the best will in the world, I do it for a couple of days and don't continue it. Some of you probably know that. And this is like, but whenever the life starts to go bad again, I go, okay, I need to revisit this. And eventually I will get it. Life will continue to bring you the same lesson until you get it. I can't tell you how many times I've had to remind myself of that. If the same thing keeps coming back at me, it's because there's a lesson I'm not learning and I need to learn it in a hurry. So Sakura, we wish you the best of luck with that going on. What's wrong with your hip, Kerry? Yeah, it's interesting that you say that you're going to try and take a nap. I really have struggled to get enough sleep. I'm trying to get to at least an average of 7 hours a night, and I cannot tell you how I'm struggling to do that. It's amazing. I'm getting closer, but I'm definitely have improved my sleep. But boy, it's difficult for me to get at least 7 hours average. I have some nights where I do really well, and then I have some nights where I really don't. And you would think that being retired with all the time in the world that I would have a better sleep pattern than I do, but I don't. Because I just don't get disciplined enough around it. And I'm really working hard at that, taking steps in the right direction with that one. All right, everybody, I will see you this evening. Hopefully this has helped some of you today, and I wish you all an incredible afternoon. I will see some of you again this evening. We will be back here at 7 Pacific time. So going to give you a big hug. Remember to look after one another. But most of all, please, please, please remember to look after yourself. This is Dear Mama Sal saying bye-bye for now.